Action Comics? Action Comics. Action Comics. Where am I? Do you have John Wick issue 1?
We don't sell comics books here, man.
Damn it! Of course. Ugh. Hey guys, comicScimoc, issue 2. The stakes are up this time. Action Comics 1000. Superman's been around 80 years. Man, I've only not even a quarter of that. So let's see what comics we have to check out today. We already know one of them, and that's of course Action Comics. Issue 1000. I got this cover, and I got this one. The main cover, let's admit it guys, the main cover sucked. And Nightwing, Super Sons. I'm out in the Super Sun. Superman, this cover's great. This is better than the Action Comics 1000 cover. The Brave and the Bold. Mr. Miracle, Batman. Number 45, The Gift, Part 1. We've got, not a DC one, we've got John Wick, issue 2.
I wanted to do issue 1, but I couldn't find it. I tried really hard.
I'm gonna start with no spoilers first and then move into spoilers later. Let's start off with, let's just go. Action Comics 1000. Action Comics 1000 was a collection of a bunch of shorter stories. The first story was by Dan Jurgens, and it was about Superman Day being held in Metropolis. Lois Lane and John Kent, Superboy, attending, and trying to get Superman out there and to stay while he may have other obligations as Superman to protect the whole world. People keep going up on stage and talking about situations in which Superman helped them out in some way. It'll be too bad to not see Dan Jurgens too much anymore on Superman. Next was Never Ending Battle with Peter Tomasi and Patrick Gleason on the artwork. It was done in a more picture book format, each side of the page being a completely different image. Vandal Savage trapping Superman in an infinite hyper time loop. in which he was trapped in the past so that Vandal Savage could defeat everyone in the future. There's a few in here, such as An Enemy Within and Faster Than a Speeding Bullet, where it focuses on how Superman isn't just saving everyone ever. People are also what matters. Superman isn't the only thing that matters. It's not just him punching dudes, you know, it's life. There was a story about the car that's on the original cover of the first Action Comics. There's a story with Superman and Lex interacting that's written by Scott Schneider. And that, strangely enough, I'm not sure if this plan segues into the next story of Tomorrow, which is my favorite. It's about a Superman that has become immortal, and he is watching the world die. It hasn't been inhabited for a long time, and he's reminiscing about his experiences there. It almost made me cry. We've got 5 minutes, a little Clark Kent Superman balancing act type story, classic, good one. We've got Actionland, a story about a ride about Superman's life that takes place in the future. It's got a little twist at the end, and we've got Faster Than a Speeding Bullet, which is a touching bit about like the courage of humanity. For the most part, this whole thing was really good. Had a lot of classic Superman ideas and had some interesting takes on the ideas as well. Most of the art was fantastic. The only downside to this issue really was, for me, the last story with Bendis on it. It was just, you know, another guy that's very, very strong, and he's gonna take down Superman for the last time. And he has a little thing that's involved in the death of Krypton. I'm gonna buy the comics with Bendis, but I'm not super excited for it. I'm wary about it. Next up, we've got Nightwing number 43. It's another standalone issue, and it didn't really do it for me. It was a team-up story with Damian, Roy Harper, Arsenal, and Nightwing going around Gotham and beating up the League of Assassins, who, for no reason, no explained reason, wants to make the air in Gotham unbreathable. It's not explained why they want that. I don't know why they would. They can assassinate everyone. It wasn't very well done, in my opinion. It had some Netflix and chill jokes that didn't hit. It was another issue about Dick trying to relax a bit, but this idea has already been done in the past. It's a lot of Dick comparing himself to Bruce, to Batman, and he's become his own character completely. He doesn't need to keep comparing himself to Bruce. The writing was like a young adult novel. Damian's dialogue was not good. It wasn't fitting. Him and Roy got in a lot of fights, and it didn't really make any sense. Damian doesn't just get mad at people for no reason. That's not his character. His character is much better written in Super Sons, which also came out this week, and he does get mad at people, but it's for reasons that make sense. One highlight of this is that Nightwing keeps, there's this joke where he keeps throwing his sticks at the enemies' heads, and so it'll just be one panel where they're just there, and then the next panel, and they're like, it's good. They go into this facility, and there's like not enough oxygen, but they just keep talking, and like exposition. There's no weight to the scene if they're just talking. And at the end, there's like a whole arc with Dick where he's like, I do need my friends. Yes, Dick Grayson needs his friends. He's the most trusted person in the DC universe. I'm gonna pick up the next issue because it's gonna be written by a new team. All right, now a comic where Damian is actually written well. Super Sons. Look at that cover. I mean, come on. George Jimenez, he's like the best. So Super Sons, you know, Damian, John Kent, Superboy, kicking it. This issue was about them hanging in their underwater pad together. I didn't know they had one of those. I didn't know they had an underwater headquarters. So there's a good noodle joke in there. Everyone's talking about how they want to marry the noodles. Kid Amazo comes back. There was a lot of underwater scenes that were very tense with Robin and Superboy working together. Cyborg pulls Damian out of the water, and Damian gets upset at Cyborg, who says that he has to take him back to the headquarters now. And he like reams him out for a second, and then Cyborg's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Dude, all you had to say was that Superboy was still stuck in the water. And this is a good example of Damian's character. Because yeah, he can be a jerk, he cares about John, and so that is a reason for him to get upset at someone if he thinks that he's not going to be able to save John. And we've got Superman 45, the last issue with Peter Tomasi and Patrick Gleason. I'm gonna miss them so much. They do fantastic writing on family and child relationships. This has got to be one of the best developments in Superman's life in a while, is having a kid with Lois. This was a great send-off issue. It involves them packing up and moving out from the town they were living in, because they're about to move to Metropolis. There's a lot of character cameos. Bizarro Boys. Boy Zorro trying to hand them frozen fries because he comes from a backwards planet where that's how they would normally be served. Rob Zorro is one of the funniest characters made in a while. The whole arc thing and everything about him is absurd. Talking about the past, and there's some themes of change isn't necessarily good, but it's what you do with it that's good, how you react to it. There's this beautiful spread with the farmland and John and Clark. Flash and Superboy have interactions that remind me a lot of Frozone and Dash. If you look, you'll see Lois is in the back disapproving. There's a great sequence of Flash helping them carry all of their stuff to Metropolis. The panels are crackling with energy. Lois is ordering them around, and the boxes in the back are tumbling. It's beautiful work. And I don't think this is really a spoiler. They ended off on this nice classic rip and open the shirt thing with John and Superman. And it's beautiful. I'm gonna miss them. Let's hope that Bendis does well. Moving on from there, we got The Brave and the Bold with Batman and Wonder Woman mini-series halfway through. Writing and art is done by Liam Sharp, and it's beautiful. He does these amazing fantasy layouts. The first page is Batman sleeping in the middle, and the Tirnanog banner at the top, and then these fairies crowding around Batman. This continues the plot, with Wonder Woman calling Batman in to use his detective skills to try to figure out what is really going on in Tirnanog, the classic fantasy land. It features a lot of Batman and Wonder Woman exploring the world. Batman getting to use a bit more of his intuition side instead of his deep detective skills. He describes how you can't really use those in a place like this, as it doesn't work by those sort of rules. Deals with themes of time and forgetfulness and how truths can be brought to the surface through time. I feel like this is dealing with the sort of theme of getting yourself into a mess without realizing it, and then having to dig yourself back out by really sitting with it and taking some time and realizing how you got yourself into the mess in the first place. But it's on a larger scale. It's using the representation of this whole fairyland that has plunged itself into confinement. Highly recommend it. I'm excited to see how this goes. Next up, Mr. Miracle number 8. Mr. Miracle has become High Father. Recently with Big Barda, they've birthed a baby. So now they're trading off places on the front of a great war going on with the forces of Darkseid. This whole comic just makes me tense. I read it and I feel awe. Tom King and Mitch Gerads are crafting this tense, depressing at moments and funny at moments story about the lives of Mr. Miracle and Big Barda continuing. Mr. Miracle, in a way, trying to escape the anti-life equation, trying to escape life, not having any hope at all, because that's what the anti-life equation is. He's been dealing with not really being able to see what's really real in the world, but now, with the baby, is that going to change? And it seems to be maybe changing a bit. He seems to be opening up a bit and being a bit happier. There are still moments where he collapses on the battlefield, but then he gets a call on his mother box, and Big Barda is showing him that their child has been saying "Dad." Yeah, I'm excited to see how this continues on. Batman number 45. The Gift Part 1. Leading up to the wedding of Batman and Catwoman. I haven't been picking this up at all, but I picked it up because on the cover, Batman's saying Booster Gold must die. And I was like, that's insane. What's going on? Then I look in there, and Batman's got a gun. Green Lantern's shooting himself in the head, and Booster Gold doesn't really care. So I was like, well, I guess I have to get this one. The issue is about Booster Gold giving Batman the best gift that he could think to give him. And of course, being Booster Gold, that gift involves drastically altering the timeline and kind of messing everything up. It has a bit of a tense vibe, but it's lighter than Mr. Miracle, definitely, if we're talking about Tom King stuff. It's got a lot of funny good jokes and good interactions between Skeets and Booster Gold, and I'm excited to see where this goes. And now, a little aside from DC, I was gonna say that this is out of the norm, but I realized I haven't really set a norm. This is the second issue, so I guess I can do whatever I want. John Wick, issue 2. Since I wasn't able to pick up issue 1, I'm a bit lost, but I tried to understand it just the same, and it wasn't too hard. There's some confusion. It's written by Greg Pak, and the art is by Giovanni Valletta. The colors by David Curiel at Inlight Studios. I can't tell if this is a prequel or sequel to John Wick 1 or 2. There's a bit of John Wick's past showing up in here, I believe. Involves Charon, I don't know how to pronounce his name, the concierge from the movies, taking John Wick to this other continental in El Paso, meeting up with some folks. And it goes a bit heavy on the exposition and explaining the rules of the Continental again, which I guess would be good for someone who hasn't watched the movies. But if you're just going to go into this comic and not watch the movies, just watch the movies. As far as this issue goes, it wasn't my favorite. It wasn't great. I'm going to keep picking it up because I'm intrigued by the idea of a John Wick comic series. The pacing was wonky. The art was kind of inconsistent. It would go from really detailed in a small panel to really sketchy in a big panel, and not in a good way, not in a way that illustrated the action or anything. The colors are not very interesting. That's one thing about the movies that I love, is that the coloring is beautiful. It's very pink and blue, and the cover totally understands that. But for some reason, the colors inside of it are bland and gray. I think even just that would have made this much more likable if the colors were more vibrant. Pick it up if you like John Wick. See how you like it. That concludes no spoilers. Let's get all crazy up in here and whip out our spoilers. Boom, boom, boom. Now let's just relax, kick back. We'll get all comfortable in here. You know, all that sort of stuff. Look at the view. My favorite story in here was Of Tomorrow, written by Tom King. You know, he just keeps. It is about Superman watching the Earth die billions of years in the future. He and Lois have taken some sort of eternity formula that has turned them immortal. There's a great combination of panels where he cuts a little stone into a statue of Ma and Pa Kent and him as a boy. And then he talks about his dad and how his dad went to church, even though he spent all his time on the science of farming. And what his dad said really, really got me. I almost started crying. He said, so Superman is saying, I just think a lot about when I was a kid and we were going to church, Pa, and I didn't want to go. I wanted to hang with Pete, and I was testing you, asking how can you spend all your time on the science of farming and still do this? And you said, you didn't see it that way. It was all the same. Science, religion, myth, stories. We're all stardust. And so we look to the sky, and we wait to be reclaimed. Those last two lines just get me. It's just, you know, everything dies eventually. Doesn't matter. Just stories. So the Peter Tomasi and Patrick Gleason story, how Vandal tries to trap him in the past, literally, but the past is there to teach us. The past is there to inform us upon the present, and I think this is a great ode to his legacy. Faster than a speeding bullet. The thing I really liked about this was the speed. He's just like, and you see it's so fast. That's what these panels really showed. They showed his hands, and then they showed his back, and then they showed him, and they showed the city getting closer, and then they show this moment, this bullet slowed down completely, and Clark describing everything in detail, how it's going to happen, but how he's not going to be able to make it. But then he is, because of her courage, because she tries to push his gun away with her head, and that freaks him out. And so he's able to step in right the last moment and just scoop that bullet out of the air. It's great. Super Sons. Oh man, I wanted to just talk a little about Kid Amazo. Man, the twist with him having killed the previous Kid Amazo, the thing that created him, the boy that created him, and now he's just this hole that is just seeking power, is really scary and dark for this series. And the way that he looks, how he's all jagged and open, is really scary. Him siphoning power from the Justice League is interesting. I wonder if we'll get to see the Super Sons save the whole dang Justice League. Good villain. Let's talk about Mr. Miracle a little. The scene where Mr. Miracle is walking through the battlefield and he's singing, "Hush, little baby, don't say a word," and he collapses, and then it has that's like him giving up hope. That's him giving into the anti-life equation. Then Big Barda wanted to talk about the Brave and the Bold, but my camera just died. So I'll just finish this on my cell phone. This whole thing is messing with the ideas of forgetfulness and time, and but time also being related to revelations. It starts out with Batman not remembering who he is and not remembering how he got to Tirnanog, and then all of the people that the beings that reside within Tirnanog cast a spell on everyone, on themselves, that made them forget the real reason why they were there, why they sealed themselves in there. They mention this character named Balor Evil Eye that has been left to the water. And earlier in this, Batman got a hagstone out of the creek to be able to see some invisible Fomorians that were there. A hagstone is like a circle, a stone with like a circle that's been forged into it, that's been forged away by the water. Then later, you see Batman is saying that there's not always something you can do about a problem that someone else has. There's not always a way to help them, sadly. And as he's saying this, it pans out to, I think, Balor Evil Eye, to his water kingdom that is stuck in the water. And I'm wondering if this is leading up to maybe Balor Evil Eye being able to be a turning point. He has I in his name, and he has been stuck in the water for some time, just like the hagstone. Maybe he will be the force that brings change to the land and opens it up to being able to go back and forth between Earth again. Just something I wanted to mention with Batman was the joke. There was a little thing with Jason Todd selling like tire irons, but they were tire irons that if someone tried to use it to steal your tires, it would kill them, because there's like jokers loose all over Gotham. This is interesting because the way that Jason Todd met Batman was he started stealing the wheels off of the Batmobile, and Batman was able to give him a second chance. And in this world, where the timeline where Martha Wayne and Thomas Wayne have not been killed. There's no Batman to basically carry Jason Todd out of the slums, out of the life that he's in. Also with Mr. Miracle, I was thinking maybe the therapist is talking about how you get stuck in these sort of things. You get stuck in raising a baby. And I'm wondering if actually what the baby is going to do is going to basically free him from the war. It's going to free his mind from that situation. And he's going to actually be able to escape like Mr. Miracle always does. His fate, this fate that's been laid out for him, by doing something he chose to do, have a baby with Big Barda. That would be a great turning point for it and would be a great development in the story. Well, I hope you liked the issue. I hope you like issue 2. I'll see you in issue 3. You know what they say? Up, up, and away.